Which you know,
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of The Play Callers. This is the interactive sports talk radio show. I am one half of the dynamic duo, Stephen Boss, aka Strangle Boss. Joined as always by my co-host, the one and the only.
Cool McCain, baby.
So what's up, y'all? Hope y'all feeling good tonight, man. Got a lot of sports to talk about. As always, if you're tuning in live with us, make sure that you drop your comments in the chat so that way we can interact with you because we can't be interactive without you.
Makes it
Just
very
makes sense.
difficult.
It just makes sense, you know. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner, and make sure that you join us every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Cheap pop, Nick Foley style.
Hey man, why not? Why not?
So cool, man. We got a lot to talk about. I tell you what, we don't really have much to talk about is college football because
It's
like every freaking game has been canceled this week.
going to be an interesting week for college football. There is a game last week that we'll talk about a little later on, but not a lot you could really preview because, to be honest, between now and tomorrow, some other games might get canceled. You don't know.
Yeah. Yes, it's kind of crazy when you look at the number of games that have been canceled. The SEC in particular has been very hard, man. They already canceled 4 to 7 games.
Yeah, UNC Charlotte, the local college here, they had to cancel their second game of the season, so it's kind of hitting everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then, that game that you mentioned that we'll be talking about a little bit later on, we'll be talking about what happened after that game, too. Y'all
Yeah.
know what we're talking about. We're gonna wait to see if our friend G Sosa jumps on before we talk about that game.
Yeah, it's going to be that'll be a definite topic. We'll talk a little bit on later in the show, but we might as well jump
I
into
see.
things, man.
I see. We got our first commenter.
Yep.
Big shot, Rob.
Oh.
What's up, Rob? How you living, bro? All right, man. So what you want to kick it off with?
Hey, man. I think we've been waiting for a while to do this one till everything was filled out. The NBA coaching carousel has been completed, right? So we finally got all the coaches in place. A lot of them are going to be names you may know. There's going to be one that I may not even pronounce right, but we're just going to roll with it and do our best.
Bless your heart for
You know,
trying.
hey, man, somebody's got to do it, man. Somebody's got to butcher the name, right? So we'll start with Chicago Bulls. They actually hired Billy Donovan, who replaced Jim Boylan. The Bulls kind of pretty much cut him off and when they got Billy Donovan, who was a coach with another team we're going to talk about, Oklahoma City, but they ended up not negotiating a new contract. I believe his original contract expired. So, question for you, anyone who's wanting to put anything in the comments, do you think that Billy Donovan was a good hire for the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I think so. He did a good job in Oklahoma City. Now, when you say is he a good hire, I think it also kind of depends on what are your expectations because they never won a championship at Oklahoma City. So, are you bringing him in with the expectation that he's going to push you over the top and get you a championship? That's probably not realistic. I won't say that it's not possible, but it shouldn't be what's in front of your mind. But in terms of bringing in a guy who has shown that he can build up young talent, that he can get a team to play well beyond their abilities or at least their value, I think it's a great hire. He got a lot out of some Oklahoma City teams that he shouldn't have been able to get out of them.
Yeah, I think he's a good hire for me for Chicago just simply because he's going from a situation where he took less and made it more and going into another situation to do that. But you have a little bit more around him. I think he's a guy that should be able to take this unit that they have in Chicago depending obviously on what moves they make, and try to mold that into a team that's consistently in the playoffs and consistently looking to be, a top 3-4 team in the East, and try to take down some of those guys that are holding those top spots in the future. So I think it's a good hire from that standpoint. I don't think he's the guy if you wanted a coach that's ready to win right this minute. But if you want a guy that's going to help to build those guys up and knows what it is to be in the NBA playoffs consistently a couple of years, this is a guy that, you bring in. So, why not?
Yeah.
Could do way worse. We talked about
Absolutely.
this one already. Oh, go ahead, man.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. We talked about this one already, but of course, Kenny Atkinson out in Brooklyn, and they went and got Steve Nash. I mean, not much need to rehash it. But did you have anything you wanted to add to that while we were on this coaching discussion?
No, I mean, like you said, we talked about it a few weeks back. So if anybody really wants to hear our thoughts on it, they can go check out that episode. And make sure you tune in every Friday night at 8:30 so you never miss these things.
And if you miss it, go back and watch it. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Just sitting there waiting for you, chilling. All of it. But all right. So Cleveland Cavaliers, John Beilein is out. JB Bickerstaff is in. I don't really see much difference in the actual coaching. The players will probably like Bickerstaff better because he's coached before. He kind of can relate. Beilein kind of lost the locker room way early on, and it was just he was going after this year, man. There's no way he could stay. But Bickerstaff's a decent hire. They're rebuilding. They're not expected to contend for the playoffs, not even an 8 spot, really. So, I mean, it can't hurt.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, if he's able to build the team, cool, you have your guys you might keep around for a while. If he doesn't really build up the young guys, then the hope is that maybe you are able to get some draft picks in, and then you can let him go and replace him with somebody else once you have some talent on the roster.
Yeah, definitely can feel you on that. And I just wanted to address Rob here. Not going to comment on the topic, sir, because keeping it sports related. But I don't necessarily disagree. We're just not going to talk about it on the show.
I will say this to you, Rob. We're not going to talk about this in depth because it's not going to be happening for a while. But I think it's the week of Christmas. The 49ers and Cowboys play. So I can't wait to hear the announcers go through all the players that are missing from both teams. It's actually going to be more than the starting lineups.
Terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is probably the one we'll spend a few minutes on. A lot of things going on with this team, but Houston Rockets. So first, we'll hop in the coaching change. So Mike D'Antoni, he opted not to return. Contract was over. Say a similar situation to Billy Donovan. Steven Silas has taken over. He's a guy that's been a veteran assistant, has been around the league. His dad, Paul Silas, was a coach as well. It seems as if the two people who have been getting the most press since this happened, Russell Westbrook and James Harden, signed off on this hire. Because obviously you have two superstar personalities, two guys like that. You want to make sure they're at least on board with the guy you bring in. So it sounds like they brought him in. They were okay with the hire. But now there's some rumblings that one or both of them want to be traded. Essentially, Russell Westbrook wants, from rumblings now, this is not anything that he said, but this is ESPN and other networks doing their thing reports, that he wants out. He wants to be on his own team and kind of be the point guard, the leader of that team, versus deferring to James Harden. They're still not winning. And then James Harden, from similar reports, and Kendrick Perkins was one of the people that said this as well. You can decide if you think he's a valuable source or not. Some of the things he says, I'm like, what is he talking about? Sometimes I can understand where he's coming from. So, you could decide on that, the credibility of the source. But he's also said that, confirmed some of these things too, that James Harden has not been taking calls from anyone with the Rockets organization. With that, I look at it and I say to myself, there's two options and two ways you can go. I'll let you go ahead and give your comments on Steven Silas and then on, that situation. And then I'll hop back in and, get a few words.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, man. I don't really know a lot about Silas. I know, like you said, he's kind of bounced around as an assistant for a while. I don't really know anything about him that would make him jump out and say, yes, that's the guy that you want to go out and get. To me, it kind of feels almost like you're just conceding the fact that it's time to blow this thing up and start over. The thing is, we're hearing rumblings that, oh, they signed off on this. And then we turn around, oh, now we're hearing rumblings that one or both of them went out. Well, those are contradictory. So one of those is complete BS. And they might both be, to be honest, because we both know how these things work. So I'm not necessarily sold on either one, but I do feel that if one has more credibility, it's that one or both of those guys might win out. Because, like I said, this hire to me, there's nothing about it that screams like, yes, this is the guy. Like, this wasn't some hot assistant name that people have been talking about deserves a head coaching job or anything like that. I hadn't even heard of the guy until I saw that they announced him as a coach, which will tell you like just how much most people really know about him. I don't know, maybe you heard of him, maybe you had to kind of look into him a little bit, but that's why I feel like there's a good chance that maybe one or both of those guys really do win out. Because they might be like, we feel like you guys are basically saying it's time to blow this thing up. So trade me so I can go get a ring. So I can win.
Tell you, man, Steven Silas has actually been a guy that at least has been on, the radar for a couple of years as an assistant that may, be able to step over to the big boy chair, as they, sometimes say, which is the head coach chair. So he's a guy that I wouldn't necessarily say was, some of the other guys we're going to talk about on this list. He may not have been one of those guys, but he's a guy that most people in NBA circles have talked about. Like I said, I know I've heard multiple rumblings of him being in the running for some jobs in years past. So I think he's fine as far as that goes. But I want to look at it and say, this is what I think. So I think that both of the stories are true to an extent. I think that at the time they came, they said, hey, Mike D'Antoni's leaving. We're bringing in Steven Silas. They're like, all right, cool. He's a guy, he hasn't had a head coaching job before, but he's been an assistant. He's respected around the league. Cool. He's a guy we wouldn't mind playing for. Cool. So I think the issue with them in Houston is the general manager then left as well. So now you don't have the coach that brought you in or the general manager. So I think that's where you're getting some of the rumblings from, the uncertainty, the concern about if this team is going to be what it was, if they're going to try to blow it up and do something different, what's happening. And when you don't know, you're like, look, man, I don't know what's going on. I know that if you're Russell Westbrook, me and James Harden, that's my boy. We good off the field, we cool. But on the field, on the court, take football, on the court, it seems to be a little bit of they can coexist, but it seems to be somebody has to kind of step back for the other person to do their thing, or one person has to sit down for the other person to really get it on or do their best or maximize their skills. So I think there may be an issue. There may be somewhere like, well, whatever. And if you're James Harden, this was my team. He came in. We still didn't do any better than before he got here. So what's the point? We might as well go get me 3 or 4 other second-tier guys that can help me and take some of the load off, rather than him being here or me being here and him staying, rather than us both being on the same team. One of the arguments that I never could debunk about this whole thing was it's 2 guys that pretty much they do the same thing in different ways. They're both volume scorers. They both need the ball in their hand. They both can make plays. They're both very athletic guys. James Harden deceptively so, but they're scorers first. And you put 2 of those guys on a team that play pretty much the same position, and you get this situation. So, I'm not surprised that it came up.
Yeah. So Jedediah asked if Russell really does want to leave, where do you see a player / personality like him best fitting in? And, we had this conversation earlier. A lot of people have this idea that Westbrook has bad personality, that he's a hard guy to play with. But a lot of stories that we've both heard is that behind the scenes, Westbrook is actually the easier of the two to get along with. Harden's the one that nobody really likes playing with. Westbrook actually has some leadership qualities to him. And I think people maybe take the fact he ball hogs a little bit and he has a reputation for making some bad decisions and bad plays at the end of games as an indication of his personality. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's that's separating the basketball player from who he is as a person. And as a basketball player, in terms of where he's got to fit in, it's got to be somewhere like who just said. He was a volume shooter. He's got to go somewhere where he can get the ball. So as much as I would say love to have somebody of his talent in LA to here with LeBron and Anthony Davis, he would never fit in there. He
Make
likes
some
to shoot the
money.
ball too much. Yeah. And he's not a guy that's got long range, so he's not going to spread the floor for you. So what he needs is to go to a team where he has a big who can really pick up things on the defensive end. That can maybe score a little bit here when needed, and then he needs 3-point shooters on the outside. That's what he needs. If you can find a team that has some decent bigs and some good 3-point shooters, Russell Westbrook is going to be a fantastic fit there. So I don't know if you maybe have any specific teams in mind you want to throw out there, but
Well, I'll tell you a couple of places I think he would be good in. I think he'd be good in New York. I think he would be good in Charlotte, actually. If you look at any team that's young that could use New Orleans, young that could use a steadying hand, a veteran guy, a guy that does take his shots, does do his thing, but doesn't mind passing to guys who can make shots. Loves to have a big and throw alleys too that we saw. And I mean, if you look at those last few teams he had in Oklahoma City, it was him and then a bunch of other guys. And I'm not demeaning anybody else that plays professional basketball. I've never played professional basketball, so they're all better than me. But in terms of talent versus the other players in the NBA, a bunch of guys that were not bad guys, they were never guys that you were going to look at for being on all-star teams or anything like that. And he was able to take those teams and go to the playoffs and have some good series. So I think if you put him on a team with a lot of young players, developing guys, where you have the salary cap, and number one, you don't have a star, so you need to get your first star. That's where he would work best at, and that's why Charlotte came to mind and New York came to mind right off bat. You don't want to put him like in Brooklyn where there's other stars. You don't want to put him on either LA team where there's other stars. Somewhere like Utah, they already have that position taken care of. So you look around the league and you can eliminate about half the teams off bat. But then once you start getting to some of the teams that he could go to, you think about who's young, who already has some shooting or has the cap space to be able to go out and get shooting if you bring him in. They said it perfectly on Charlotte Sports Radio the other day. He's a small Giannis, and that's not disrespectful whatsoever. Or Giannis is a larger version of him, whichever way you want to put it, since he was in the league first. But essentially, he can shoot, but it's streaky. He gets to the basket, you cannot stop him. He plays hard on defense, but that range is a challenge. And at this point in Russ's career, I don't think he's going to go out and develop a jump shot. So you have to say he is who he is, and you've got to build around him. So that's what I think as far as two specific teams he would go to. But the kind of team he would go to, young, up and coming, needs that leadership, needs that veteran, that guy to get on people and bring them up and say, all right, Russ is here getting on my nerves. I'm about to show him I can ball too. So I think that's the kind of team he needs to go to. And those are two examples of places I would say where I think he would work.
I gotta tell you, man, you mentioned New Orleans, and I started thinking about pairing him with Zion, and that's be pretty nice right there.
It would.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know that him and Lonzo Ball will get along great because Lonzo, even though he's gonna pass the ball, he's got to have that ball in his hand, and Russ playing off ball is not necessarily his strong suit. He needs that ball in his hand to be able to create. He's not really a great off ball creator.
But he'll go in the post too. He'll take a point guard or a shooting guard in the post and work him too. So
yeah,
might be
they could. They could probably make it work. But I'm just thinking him and Zion together. That'd be pretty nasty.
That would be crazy.
That'd be nasty.
And you would have to give up Lonzo in a package in order to get Russ anyway. So
yeah,
probably wouldn't be playing together if you did that.
Yeah, if they could actually keep Brandon Ingram without having to give him up in a package and pair the three of them together, that'd be a nice look for New Orleans.
Nice little young team.
Yeah.
Because I think Drew Holiday's gone from there, so maybe gonna bring him into the
Jedediah, now look, Jedediah, we're gonna put it back on you now. Let us know what you think about that.
Yeah, where do you think he should go?
All right, what other hires we got to talk about here?
All right, so Nate Jorkin, he's a Raptors assistant, taking Nate McMillan's place in Indiana. Honestly, you can plug anybody back there that knows how to halfway coach. You got enough talent on the roster. They're young. They're going to listen. They're hungry. They know how to play without a guy back there that's really doing too much. So I don't think he'll have a problem. He was a Raptors assistant on a team that won a championship a few years ago. So, some of these guys just need a chance, and I think he's got to do fine with opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those moves where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, it doesn't really move the needle that much, but
Yeah.
it's not a bad hire. So
yeah, come from a championship pedigree, man. What more can you ask for? Young, come from a championship pedigree. Let's get it. Tyronn Lue in for his second stint as a head coach with the Clippers. He moves from from the head assistant over to the head coach. We talked about him before as well. I don't know if you want to add anything else, but not a bad hire for me. I think he can reclaim the locker room. He probably already has their ear.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a good hire. He's definitely a guy who deserved another opportunity. And we talked about last year about the possibility of him coming to LA. Apparently, to the Lakers, that is. Apparently, he wanted a little bit more than what they actually wanted to pay. So that's the reason why they didn't materialize. But I think it's a good hire for them. The question that I have is he going to be able to take care of the number one problem they actually have over there on LA number 2? And that's that softness.
We'll only find it out in time, but we'll find it out in about a month. In a few weeks when they start back playing.
I'll go keep saying it until they prove it not soft.
And we got one of the hires that I kind of confused me, but Stan Van Gundy and Alvin Gentry out of New Orleans. What do you think about that one?
So I'm not sure about that one. I mean, I guess the idea here is you're hoping that he's going to be a guy that can come in as an experienced coach and be able to build up this young core and get them to where you want them to be. Because surely they don't think that he's going to get them over the top.
Well, I would simply say he had a young team in Orlando and he got kicked out of there for it.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
That's why I said maybe that's what you're hoping, but if you're actually expecting him to develop those young guys to the point that he's gonna actually take them anywhere, he hasn't done anything to prove that he could do that.
To me, that's the most head scratching of every hire is that hire. Now, the next guy, this is where the butchering starts. So I apologize if I have the name incorrect. I'm pretty sure I'm going to. The Oklahoma City, they've parted ways with Billy Donovan. He decided not to come back. They decided not to resign him, whatever. And they brought in Mark Daigneault. That's how I'm going to say it. I'm sure that's wrong, but Mark Daigneault. It's the best I can do. They promoted him. He was an assistant on the squad, and they promoted him to head coach. So continuity. He's another one of these younger guys trying to kind of get some fresh blood with a young team. So maybe he'll be able to continue what was happening there. What do you think about that, man?
Well, one thing about that hire too is he also was the coach for the G League team, and his winning percentage over 5 years there was, I think, like 57%. So, over 500 record. He went to the playoffs 4 out of the 5 seasons that he was the coach in the G League. I think they even won a couple of championships. So, you've got a guy, he hasn't coached at the NBA level as a head coach, but he does have some head coaching experience already. Like you said, he is also an assistant on the team, so he's already within the system. There's the continuity aspect, the familiarity with the team itself. So I think it's possibly a good hire. It's one of those ones we're going to have to wait and see. But anytime you give some of these young guys an opportunity, you just got to wait and see what they do. But I think what separates him is the previous head coaching experience on some level.
I could feel that. So he's already no worse than the third worst hire, because obviously Stan Van Gundy wasn't real happy that Steve Nash has as much experience coaching basketball as me and you. So he's already, at worst, the third worst new hire. Now, to me, the best hire, Doc Rivers, Philadelphia 76ers. makes perfect sense. I don't even need to say anything.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, man. Saying that you having a deep conversation with how much sense it made to do that would be like overly praising whoever has the number one pick in the NFL draft. If you're presumably the Jets taking Trevor Lawrence, it's like no duh.
or for the Bengals taking Joe Burrow.
Yeah, like no duh. What else was you gonna do?
Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah, that's definitely an easy one.
Yeah, I mean, and look, and that goes back to the whole Ty Lue thing. As much as I think that Ty Lue's a great coach and deserves another chance, is he an upgrade over Doc Rivers? I don't necessarily think so.
Well, sometimes you need to change, not necessarily an upgrade. You got the players that handle it.
Yeah.
But maybe he just couldn't keep the locker room.
Yeah, so we'll see.
He'd been there a while, so
So Jedediah said, to hear him out, Russell Westbrook to the New York Nets. So go ahead and finish telling us, man. Tell us why.
Tell us why.
I'm interested in hearing this.
Oh, yeah, we'll come back to that one because I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear your reasoning for
we'd love to hear
a second point guard with the Nets. And it's actually the Brooklyn Nets. Sir.
Yeah, that is true. Yes. Brooklyn.
But we'll come back to that. So perfect time. So the one game that we saw this past weekend, we actually saw two top 10 matchups, but Florida and Georgia had their third, fourth string quarterback. So, we got to win, we got to lose there. Okay, it's cool. But to me, the game of the week last week, the one I'd like to spend just a few minutes talking about, is the Notre Dame Clemson game. So Notre Dame won, I think it was double overtime, if I remember correctly. But, they had to go to overtimes for the game to be ended. But Notre Dame ended up winning the game. So there's two pieces to talk about. So first, we'll just talk about the game. So I'll let you go first and just give us your thoughts on the game itself. I know there's another piece we definitely got to talk about, but the game itself.
Yeah, so the game itself, it was actually a pretty competitive game. It looked at different points like different people were going to win the game. I thought in the beginning that we were just headed for an absolute blowout once they got back into the game, and it ended up being a pretty close game. So good game. I enjoyed watching it. What we saw was that Trevor Lawrence is pretty important to Clemson, but they have some pretty good hands there to hand the team off to once Trevor Lawrence leaves at the end of this year. For a guy out there in his first start, can't remember the backup's name off the top of my head, but really impressive. Played pretty well for his very first start. So I think that overall, it was a good game. I will say that I think that if they meet again in the ACC championship game and Clemson's at full string, it probably won't even be close.
So I say Notre Dame's quarterback situation is nothing like Clemson's. Quarterback is the most important position. So I would say between the two teams, they meet again, even in that game, it felt like those guys were on even playing field as far as the quarterbacks go. And that's the backup for Clemson. I think there was a call, I want to say, I think it was in the fourth quarter, where Notre Dame should have kicked the field goal, but they decided to go for it like on a fourth down, and it didn't quite get a touchdown, so they ended up turning the ball over on downs. I believe that's what happened, if I remember correctly. Watched a lot of football this weekend. And there was a couple of times where I kind of thought, like, Notre Dame, what are you doing? You can put the game away or give yourself a small lead by kicking the field goal or by, not being as just aggressive on fourth downs, kind of like just not taking chances that you don't need to take. So I saw a couple of those happen. So I think Notre Dame made a couple of mistakes. And I'm not knocking them or saying, oh, they played a poor game or trying to say that Clemson didn't have anything to do with it. But I think you have to look at the opportunities in the game and see this a close game and say, you know what? Yeah, I want to go for the 7, but when I get in a situation, let's take the 3 and keep it moving. Also, I don't think that they did enough to confuse a quarterback making his first start. But at the same time, this is something I always say, guys that you don't have film on in game, it's harder to defend because you don't know any tendencies. There's nothing you can pick up on. He double pats the ball when he's going deep. He cocks back a little further if he's trying to throw like a quick route or whatever. You don't have any of those nuances yet. So I think that may have been part of it. And then not really knowing that you weren't going to have Trevor Lawrence under center till the week of the game kind of has to affect some game planning as well. And it's not making excuses for anybody, but just, giving my opinion as to what I saw. I think that even in that game, you could see that outside of quarterback, it felt like offensively Clemson had a slight advantage. I felt on defense, actually, Notre Dame had a slight advantage without Trevor Lawrence. But I felt like they just made a couple of iffy plays that if they work, you're like, oh, they're great. But there may not be chances that you want to take when it's better to come away with threes in a game that you expected to be tight from the beginning. On Clemson's side, I'm not going to try to say their backup quarterback's name because I know I will butcher his name. But he played well for a guy on his first start. He missed some plays. He missed some wide open guys. Like I said, Notre Dame's quarterback missed some guys too. So I felt like they were equal. But I felt like it was a clash of like two really good teams. Notre Dame was able to win this one. I fully expect them to have a part 2 in the ACC championship game. For that, I'll simply say my thoughts. If Clemson comes out and wins a close game, ACC gets 2 teams in the playoffs. It might be number 3 and number 4, but I think the ACC could get 2 teams in with Notre Dame being part of the ACC this year.
I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I still think that the Big Ten has a better chance of getting 2 teams in than the ACC does. The SEC, I kind of see, unless Alabama loses in the SEC championship game, which right now looks like it would be to Florida, then I don't see them getting 2 teams in. And the Big 12, unless they have an undefeated team, I think they're getting left out. And the Pac-12, well, they get left out all the time, so they're kind of used to it over there. Not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying it is just what happens.
That's what you have to do. Now, the other piece. So after the game, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Notre Dame rushes the field like we are in 2019. Hopefully, we'll be in 2021, but we're not. We're in 2020, excuse me. And they rush the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that Notre Dame is now trying to go back and put stuff in place to say, oh, here are rules, you can't do this, that, or that. And they're trying to say that, these people, they do have to test negative before they can actually be allowed back into a football game. But my issue is that the reports have also come out that you told all the players and the coaches before the game to be aware of the fact that fans might rush the field if you win. So my question is, all these things that you're now putting in place to save face, why were they not in place? What it says to me is you don't actually care. And I'm not shocked because your president of your university had the virus. Because why? Because he went to a support rally for a certain political candidate where no one was wearing a mask, including himself. And he got COVID himself. So clearly the message that they're sending out is, we don't think this is that serious. It's not that big of a deal. And now we're only going to put these restrictions in place because you all ran on the field and people got the virus. And we're just trying to save face.
There's no other way that could have been looked at, man. I mean, let's be real here. You have all these players and coaches, right? So they want to try to say, oh, like we told the players and the coaches beforehand. Yeah, who cares you told players and coaches? You out there on the field, you just beat the number 1 team in the country, right? Starting quarterback or not. you riding on cloud 9. You know, the last time Notre Dame probably been in this situation has been a minute, right? So you're excited. You're fans. What do? You normally hit the field. You should have been stopped. That shouldn't have happened. But from the players, coaches, you shouldn't even bring them into it because they are celebrating on the side. They're hyped. They're thinking about nothing but the game. They just got to playing. They still adrenaline pumping and all that. Fans start coming. What are you supposed to do?
Right.
This is on the university. Like you said, this is on Notre Dame and Notre Dame only. As a university, you should have had contingencies in place. You should have made sure you had enough security to stop people from getting to that field. And after that game, if you felt like it was going to happen, you should have got those players and coaches off that field as soon as the game was over, and they shook hands with Clemson, period. It should have been shake hands, get off the field. So you didn't do your job. You want to go back and try to act like you're doing your job later. You know, like you said, the specific person that leads Notre Dame doesn't have any more wisdom than to go to a rally for his candidate where they don't wear masks. So obviously you don't really care. Like you said, it's all publicity. It's all to get some of the people back that are saying Notre Dame's stupid and why would they do something like that, and they're appalled that they would do that in their current situation. You don't have a problem with it. You just have a problem with the backlash.
Yeah, and to Jedediah's point about how many fans were on there and they couldn't be following safety protocols. I mean, think about it this way: assume that you actually were making people in the stands be 6 feet apart. So you're telling me that all those people were able to successfully get down to field level that quickly, even though they were supposedly 6 feet apart in the stand, and you couldn't stop them. So what that basically means is you sit there and watch people start to congregate and get ready to come on the field, and you still let it happen.
Nope. Because you only have so many ways you can actually get onto the field from any football stadium. So you let it happen. Yep. So, hey, man, stupid move, bonehead, all those things. But don't try to come back later and try to correct it like, it wasn't your thing. You did that. You made that happen. Just own up to it. We didn't, you can even spin it in and be like, we didn't realize that so many people would be coming onto the field. We didn't really, take into account for the numbers of people that were there, and the security was overwhelmed. They were trying, which they weren't. They probably were on the field dancing and jumping and tearing down goalposts too. But
probably
not a good decision.
Probably so.
Gotta be better. 2020, you gotta be better. A certain president-elect is asking people, put your mask on, social distance. Notre Dame is not doing either one of those things. They just put a whole bunch of people at risk because of organization.
If I would have thought about it, man, I would have asked Daryl, who came on our show a while back, and asked him, since he does spend a lot of time doing on-field promotional, setting up stuff and doing some security and things like that. I should have asked him, like, all right, man, what should Notre Dame have been doing down on the sideline? What do you think they didn't do? So I might talk to him about that this week and bring it back up this week. I get an answer out of him. Get a little insight from an insider.
I'll leave that for later. So, we got a part of the show that we always come to. I think we're going to run it a little earlier than normal today, just so we can have a little time, just in case we want to get into any details about anything. So, NFL picks.
So real quick before we jump into the picks, I do want to I want to take a quick poll. I want to see what people's preference are here. Do y'all like for us to go through all of the picks? And the reason I'm asking this is because right now it's mostly just the NFL stuff. But at some point we would like to be able to do NFL, college, NBA is going to be going on at the same time. It's some NFL stuff, and we want to be able to cover as many games as possible. So would y'all rather see us try to still do the full NFL schedule? Or would you rather see us maybe do like a top 5-6 games each that we want to individually talk about? So let us know in the chat which one of those y'all actually prefer. And then that way, as we go forward, we can figure out how we can do things that y'all want to see.
Yep. Now, to go ahead and hop into the picks here. Before we hop into the picks, a couple things I got to say. So, number one, Miami did win that game last week. So, good job on that pick. Number 2, Thursday night, last night, that was a surprise. Serious surprise. But big ups to Indianapolis. But that was a surprise. I
That
didn't
was a
expect the
surprise.
offense
James
to be able
Williams
to
got
do
that
that
one
to
right.
Tennessee's defense. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that was a surprise. And that's the best thing about football. You never know what's really going to happen. We make picks. Hey, I'm probably wrong half the time, maybe more. But
Hey, I
it is what it
will
is.
say this about that game. I actually heard a comment on the sports talk radio here in Atlanta today, and the guy said Indianapolis's defense did what to Tennessee what you have to do, which is they got a 14-point lead, then they got a 21-point lead, and they took that running game out. And my immediate thought was, you didn't pay Ryan Tannehill all that money to have the offense get shut down with the running game. It can't be done. Just throwing that out there.
Also want to say what up, Eric, Big E, for hopping on. I appreciate your comment, as well as yours, Jedediah, on the question. But just kind of hop into this week. We got Houston and Cleveland. I'm going to just say Cleveland. Houston's been on the roll. You know, sometimes you get hot, you get cold, get a trap game. I'm just going to go Cleveland.
I'm going to go ahead and pick Houston to keep the momentum going.
All right. Washington, Detroit. I'm actually going to go football team. I don't want them to win, but I think they will win.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but I'm going to agree with you.
All right. We got Jacksonville at Green Bay. One of the no-brainers for me for the week, Green Bay.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, New York. I think we all know how I'm going to pick.
This is actually a tough one for me. The Giants, to me, I think are a team that's starting to kind of figure it out. I think they're going to get the upset here. And I am at least calling it an upset for you.
All right. Don't forget,
Eric agrees.
Philadelphia's getting back
Shocking.
our starting running back, Miles Sanders. Alshon Jeffrey is going to make a special appearance this week for us.
Special appearance? What's he doing? Magic tricks?
Hey, man, he's finally going to play in the game. So,
reading some
this
poetry.
is the first game of the year. So, for now, it's a special appearance because we got to see if he's going to make it through the game or not. Or if his hamstring is going to start hurting, or his back, or his shoulder. So, we'll see if he makes it through the game. And we'll get back a couple of defensive pieces as well. So, we should have probably lost to New York the last time we played, but we didn't. So everybody that's picking New York this week, thank you. Because the more people pick New York, the more confident I feel that we're going to win. So I appreciate everyone betting against the Eagles. That's when we're our best. Tampa Bay at Carolina. I think this is going to be a really great game. After watching Carolina last week and how they were able to almost beat Kansas City, they figured it out. They don't have Christian McCaffrey this week, but I think they have enough other pieces like Curtis Samuel that they can plug in and do some of those things McCaffrey was doing last week. Their backup, Mike Davis, should be able to make some things happen. So I'm actually going to go Carolina.
How many points did Kansas City put up against them, roughly? Do you remember?
Let's see. I do not remember, but a hot minute and we can get that.
I'm just trying to remember because I'm trying to think how well their defense played because I think that's going to be the key to them being able to beat Tampa.
So Kansas City put up 33.
33 is not too bad. Yeah, I actually think Carolina could win this game because if they held Kansas City to 33, I don't think it's unreasonable the way that the Bucks have been playing here lately. They could actually hold them to about 21 to 24 points, and I think their offense can actually put up at least that much. So it's going to be a close one. Kind of one of my 50-50 games, but I actually give Carolina an edge.
Yeah, should be good. Then we got Denver at Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are one of my teams that I think is really good. I'm going with the Raiders. Or as Chris Berman would say, the Raiders.
Vegas.
And then we have Rams in Miami. I'm gonna go Rams in a close game, but I think they have more potency offensively. But Miami has showed me that I could be wrong about them, and I could be wrong. Yeah,
You say the Rams and the Miami? Damn, the Rams already played Miami?
they play them this week. Los Angeles Rams at Miami Dolphins, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I could have sworn the Dolphins already played the Rams. I'm gonna go Dolphins. They got something good going down there.
We'll see. Buffalo Bills, Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take Arizona. This is a 50-50 for me, but I'm going to take Arizona.
Yeah, it's definitely a 50-50, but I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going to go Buffalo. It might just be, because they're in my division. But
I apologize. That was the Los Angeles Chargers that are playing Miami, not the Rams. I apologize.
Yeah, I thought the Rams already played them.
Yeah. So that's the Chargers, and by it being the Chargers and not the Rams, I'm actually going to go with Miami too. Because the Chargers,
I'm going to stay with Miami.
Yeah, because the Chargers are the kings of the fourth quarter choke. They're the new Atlanta Falcons, so I'm going to go definitely with Miami. So my bad, everybody on that one, but it was the Chargers. With those new logos, if you don't really pay attention, it's hard to tell the difference. My bad.
Really is.
So Seattle's actually playing the Rams. Seattle is going to win this game, and that's enough said.
They are. Yeah, they are.
All right, so we got San Francisco and New Orleans. I'm going to have to go New Orleans to win this game. Big day for Michael Thomas. Please, Michael Thomas, 200 yards. You owe me.
I am going to tell you that at this point, the only thing I want San Francisco to win is a high draft pick. So I'm going to pick New Orleans. Because
all right,
we're decimated. We had no chance to win anything this year.
We got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati.
I'm actually thinking that too. I mean, look, Pittsburgh's going to lose a game.
Yeah, they got to lose.
And I think
Why not?
And this could be the one. Malachi says 9-0. Not so fast, my friend.
I understand that you're a fan, man, but not this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. No one's going to be shocked if Pittsburgh wins. Okay, that's not what we're saying.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at the matchups. I'm looking at the possibility, and I figure, hey, they got to mess up at some point. I think this could be the week.
And Burrow's a solid quarterback. He's getting better every week, and they got weapons. They got running backs for days too, which is what you have to win nowadays because everybody gets hurt.
Yep.
All right, we got Baltimore at New England, Sunday Night Football. I'm going on a limb, New England.
I'm going to stay on my limb and go Baltimore.
Cam about to show us that he's back. He got his mojo back.
Cam might show us he has his mojo back, but he doesn't have enough people around him for that to matter.
Well, if you really look at it, besides the 10 running backs that Baltimore has, what do they really have a receiver? They got a tight end that's their best receiver.
Yeah. Now,
so we're not looking at a game where Baltimore has a plethora of offensive wide receiver weapons. If you could take away Mark Andrews, you severely limit Lamar Jackson in the passing game.
Now, I will say this. In order for Baltimore to win this game, and I'm using Lamar Jackson's own words here, they're going to have to install some new plays that nobody's seen yet. Can't go out there and win football games if people know what you're going to do. Although, I mean, hey, I'm not shocked because I know something about having Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator.
I'm just gonna. Hey man, I'm letting that one go. Monday night,
I'm not.
Minnesota and Chicago. I think I'm gonna go Minnesota. I'm feeling Minnesota.
Yeah. I told you 2 weeks ago. I repeated it last week. I'm gonna say it again. Minnesota's figured out that Kirk Cousins is not the leader of the team Dalvin Cook is. As long as they keep feeding them, they're gonna keep cooking.
Keep cooking, huh? That's interesting. All right, then we have
play on words. I had to do it.
Yeah, I know. So Thursday, November 19th, if games are played, because we know how everything's going now, but we'll just assume everything's going to happen. We have Arizona at Seattle. Gonna go Seattle again.
Yeah, Arizona being the first time, I don't see Seattle getting swept in a season series, so I'm going to go Seattle.
So that's our picks for the week. We may do some switch ups here in a couple of weeks once we start getting some other things happening. So definitely, as my co-host did say a few minutes ago, if you have a preference as far as if you'd like us to continue to do all the games, or maybe just pick about 5 games that we want to go head to head on, definitely let us know in the comments. I know a few people did, but I know more than a few people are watching or are going to watch this week. So
yeah,
talk to us.
And real quick, man, I do want to just give a personal shout out. A couple years ago, I was doing some kickboxing stuff, and one of my coaches, he's been fighting for a few years now, and he just put on Facebook he's getting his opportunity for his first UFC fight at the next UFC pay-per-view. His name's Jared Gooden. Y'all make sure y'all, if you're watching UFC stuff, make sure you keep an eye out for that, man. So big shout out to him. Good luck to you, bro.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's good to know someone who was able to get to that level. So yeah, congratulations to him for sure.
So man, we got about 8-9 minutes left. You guys have any particular topics that you want us to discuss here? It's a good time to go ahead and jump into those right now, and we'll be happy to chat about them.
Yeah, man. We even left a few minutes today, just in case.
Yeah.
Now,
so while people are typing in their potential questions, and man, I did want to also say congratulations to your boy. I can't even think of his name right now. I just forgot it. Plays for the Braves. Just won the MVP, the NL MVP.
Freddie Freeman.
Was it Freddie Freeman? Might have been. But yeah, I know it's nice, for a lot of Braves fans. A little bit of a disappointment the way the season ended. So, just a nice little thing to have some of your players actually recognized for doing something, I'm sure.
Yep, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
He beat out Mookie Betts and Manny Machado to win it. So
yeah, which I know a lot of people felt like Betts should have been the guy, but
But see, Betts should have been.
Year, man.
To me, Betts should have been the MVP of the championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think Betts got robbed. As far as the actual MVP, it's a little bit more open. But I definitely think when you got to the World Series, Betts should have been the MVP.
Yeah, don't disagree with that. You look like you're about to bring something up before I congratulated you.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say next week, everybody knows the draft's coming up Wednesday. So make sure y'all watch the draft. Make sure you come next week ready to talk some drafts. Because we're going to talk some NBA draft next week. That's for sure.
And some NBA free agency.
As well. But make sure you watch that draft. Or at least read on it and be ready. So next week, guys, hopefully we can get some interaction. We're going to talk about different picks, who goes where. The thing with the NBA, there's a lot of speculation. Read articles all day talking about this person is going to trade this pick and get this guy in this pick, or they're going to take 3 picks and trade up to get this person and all that. So we're going to wait till it happens, right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing like every other news media in the world and trying to pick beforehand, we're going to wait till it happens, right? That's what we do on the Play Call Sports Talk Show. And then after it happens, we're going to talk about the fallout and how we feel about different players that may go to different places. There may be some draft day trades. We don't know because everything's going to be so tight this year as far as timing. But just be ready next week. Any comments you have about the draft, if you want to, hop in the comments and talk about your favorite team and whatever player they selected, if you feel like that's a great pick for your team or not, just be ready, man. We're gonna have some fun next week. We're gonna talk some NBA. Definitely a lot of NBA. We'll do picks, but we'll definitely talk a lot of NBA next week. Just dedicate the show. NBA is getting ready to start back up already, so we'll be getting that a little bit as well. So y'all just be ready, and we're gonna have some fun.
So, just a real quick thing too. I just happened to come across this story earlier. I forgot to mention it, but the Marlins have hired a new general manager, and she is the first ever female general manager in
Yep.
MLB. So, just want to acknowledge that milestone as well. Her name is Kim. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. It's just NG. So I'm not sure exactly what the pronunciation on that would be, and I don't even want to be disrespectful and butcher that.
Yeah, I did actually see that as well. I think it's been a great few weeks here for females, notwithstanding what happened with the Texans and their idiocy in getting rid of the female that was doing a really good job there. But I think other than that, it's been a really good couple of weeks, for females in this country with them being able to get first accomplished.
Yeah.
We don't really go into politics a lot, but we're going to have our first female vice president. So that's great. Just shows that there has been some progression in the country. We talk a lot about what's wrong, but obviously something's right if if that opportunity is there and someone's able to capitalize on it. This is another first. So it's just great, that sports are also having first, and kind of sad that there's first to still be added on this issue, but it's great that at least we're getting to a point where it feels like people are being looked at for what they can bring and what value. Because if we want to try to make the argument that everything has to be about someone who played the sport, then it's a joke, because half of these general managers, half of these managers never played, Major League Baseball. So it's great that people are getting opportunities based on what they can bring and how they can help teams versus what they look like, their background, and those things, what their gender is. Just hire the best people for the best jobs. That's something that I think everybody wants. And that's kind of what a lot of things that are going on now are about. Just hire the best person for the job, no matter.
Yeah.
So kudos, to the Marlins for doing that. And I do believe if there was an organization that was going to take that step, that's one of the few that would. So, kudos to them for that. And congratulations to her as well for being, ready for that position and being in the right place and having that right, set of skills to be able to take that position.
Absolutely. So, speaking of first, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up. Want to go ahead and remind everybody that we are just a few short weeks away from the 1 year anniversary of the Play College Sports Talk Show.
Yeah.
So appreciate those of you who have been with us from the beginning. There's been a couple of y'all. Appreciate those of you who have come on a little bit later and stuck around. Those who share the show with other people, invite people, and help to promote the show. Man, much love and appreciation for all of y'all, especially those of you who show up on Friday nights and participate in the chat. So much love and appreciation. And we will have some special surprises for y'all on the 1 year anniversary. There might even be a surprise for you next week.
Who knows?
To find out. You just have to tune
in. Be there.
Every week. Know.
We're always evolving.
I'm gonna steal a quote from one of my other groups. You got to tune in every week, because if you miss a week, you miss a lot.
I can get with that one.
Y'all better know that.
Yeah.
So speaking of knowing that, man, y'all know what time it is. Gotta let y'all know that even the sun goes down.
And heroes eventually die.
And horoscopes often lie.
But sometimes why?
Nothing is for show.
Nothing is for certain.
But until they close the curtain,
him and I.
The play callers. Y'all better know that.
Yeah.
ACL to Charlotte, North Carolina. See y'all next week.
Be there. We ready.
8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hey, get them fingers ready, bro. Get them fingers ready. Let's get it.
Get Get them typing fingers ready, man. Get them typing fingers ready.
Some exercises, get you the little wrist joints. You know what I'm saying? Be ready.
Put your little eye of the tiger on. Get you the little finger weights. Get you going.
You know what I'm saying? Get you a couple of eggs. Drink a raw. Do a little Rocky running. You know what I'm saying?
Find you a little old wrinkled up Italian dude to yell at you and have you chase chickens.
And make sure you get his name so you can get knocked out and say, win this one for him.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. If you don't watch Rocky, you don't know what we talking about.
Yeah, and if you have watched Rocky, you don't know what we're talking about. What's wrong with you?
You didn't really watch Rocky. That's what that means.
Yeah, right. You didn't watch Rocky. You saw it, but you ain't watch it.
Yeah, you ain't watch it. You ain't let it soak into your core.
Like white men can't look. It's like white men can't jump. You can't hear Jimmy. You might listen to Jimmy. You can't hear Jimmy.
There you go. Or R-Truth and Lil Jimmy.
And Lil Jimmy. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and peace on out. We'll holler at y'all next week.
Be ready. Be on. Let's get it.